Would you like to get started, Sarah?
Yeah, I think we can get going. Hi, everybody. We're here to present the Greensville Drinking Water System Municipal Class Environmental Assessment. This is Public Information Center 1. Before we get going, just wanted to make sure everybody can hear me. I know you can't speak back, but if you could just type in the chat box to make sure. If someone can maybe say yes, just to confirm, that would be great. Okay, thank you. If you do have any troubles calling in, I did post the call-in number up above as well. Nicole, did you want to take it away?
Yep, thanks, Alex. So I'm Nicole McClellan. I'll be your host for this PIC, and I'm joined by my colleague Sarah Mix, who did our introduction, who's Stantec's environmental assessment lead on the project. I'm also joined by Haley Holmes for engineering support for this project at Stantec, and Marco Severio, who's the project manager for the City of Hamilton for this study. So I wanted to start with land acknowledgement. The City of Hamilton is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon, Wampum Belt Covenant, which was an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabeg to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Today, the City of Hamilton is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we recognize that we must do more to learn about the rich history of this land so that we can better understand our roles as residents, neighbors, partners, and caretakers. So I'm just going to turn my video off for the portion of the presentation, I think, and then we can focus on the slides, and I'll come back for the Q&A session. This will be a virtual meeting, and it is being recorded in order to be available for those who may not be able to attend the meeting, and will be available online during the question period until November 10th of this year. No personal information of the participants will be included in the recording. Questions can be submitted during the, questions can be submitted during the question period until November 10th. And you can also submit questions anonymously using the chat box during this PIC. During our Q&A session at the end, you can raise your hand and provide questions or comments when called upon by unmuting, or you can use the Q&A box as well. So the slide deck will be presented to provide an overview of the study and study progress. Following the presentation, questions will be answered by the project team and will remain available until 8 p.m. tonight to answer any questions. You can log on and off from the event as you need to. So we are looking forward to your participation and feedback throughout this project. And we'll go over the survey opportunities at the end as well. So the goals of this PIC are to introduce the project and why it is being undertaken, provide an overview of the key steps that this study will follow, provide a summary of the problems and opportunities to address the problem and opportunity statement, present existing conditions within the study area, present alternative solutions and evaluation criteria, present the recommended alternative solution, and answer questions you may have and provide an opportunity for you to get involved in the project. So this slide presents the location of the study area, which includes residences along Forest Avenue, as well as the Johnson 2 Park. The City of Hamilton has initiated the Schedule C Municipal Class EA, or Environmental Assessment Study, for the Greensville Rural Settlement Area to provide improvements to the Greensville drinking water system. The drinking water system provides water to 36 homes within the Greensville Rural Settlement Area from one municipal well and pumping or treatment station building. The purpose of this study is to develop a preferred water servicing strategy, including a backup water supply for the Greensville drinking water system. The Municipal Class Environmental Assessment Study process frames the planning and implementation of municipal infrastructure and is legislated through the Ontario Environmental Assessment Act. This study is being conducted as a Schedule C project and will cover phases 1 through 4 of the EA process. In phase 1 of the study, background planning and policy documents were reviewed, and the study area and problem and opportunity statement were developed. The project is currently in phase 2, where existing conditions have been detailed, alternatives have been identified and reviewed for their feasibility, and the recommended alternative solution has been identified, which will be presented today. Several previous studies have been completed and were used to inform and are being used to inform this study. The Mid-Spencer Creek Greensville Rural Settlement Area Subwatershed Study was completed in 2016. This study identified a management strategy for community servicing water and septic, recommending to maintain individual wells and septic systems on future lots and to add a backup well to the existing supply well, or FDGO1, for the Greensville drinking water system. The location, sizing, and preliminary design of the treatment plant and storage tank would be subject to further assessment under a subsequent Schedule C Municipal Class EA. Subsequently, a feasibility study was completed to identify potential backup well alternatives and explore cost implications associated with the 2016 subwatershed study recommendations. The feasibility study was initiated as a Schedule C Municipal Class EA. However, due to the identification of aging infrastructure at FDGO1 and additional alternatives being identified, the EA was transitioned into a feasibility study. The recommendation from the feasibility study was to implement a single well supply or new well supply with one fenced wellhead in Johnson 2 Park, installation of a well pump, transmission line, pumping control, and treatment building at the end of Cedar Avenue. Further, the Cedar Avenue cul-de-sac would require modification to accommodate maintenance vehicles to that facility. The potential alternative locations for the new treatment building are located within the Johnson 2 Park and will further be assessed under this Schedule CEA. In 2019, the city received a condition assessment for the existing FDGO1 well site, which identified deficiencies and areas of concern for the Greensville drinking water system assets, including power and building electrical, process equipment corrosion, and some site civil and structural assets in need of replacement and maintenance. The condition of the facility overall was scored as good on average, and the facility average risks were considered medium. The critical risks included pressure tanks 1 to 4 and the well pump. Other high-risk components included UV reactors, valving, piping, well pump motor, and the starter. In 2022, an evaluation of the constructability and risks associated with alternative supply scenarios for the Greensville drinking water system was completed, along with a multi-objective decision analysis and cost estimates. The alternatives reviewed in this study included alternatives to a backup well for emergency supply. Those included trucked water connection and an on-site reservoir with one-day storage. Upgrades to well FDGO1 per the condition assessment were estimated to require 8 months of backup trucked water supply, among other limitations. This review indicated the preferred alternative supply scenario would be a new treatment building for a new wellhead, which would be known as FDGO2, as the primary supply for Greensville, and decommissioning FDGO1. The investment into FDGO2 would result in a more reliable facility for the community and city operations for the long term at an accessible site. Additionally, the following studies have been completed to document the existing conditions within the Greensville drinking water system. For built heritage resources and cultural landscapes, the study area contains residences over 40 years of age and municipal plaques. It was confirmed that the residences are not considered to be built heritage resources. The 2 plaques located in the north part of Johnson 2 Park are not expected to be impacted by the construction activities, and if they need to be removed, they can be replaced. For the archaeological assessment, a Stage 3 archaeological assessment was carried out in 2014 and indicated that the proposed area for the new treatment building in the park at the end of Cedar Avenue does not present archaeological concerns. There are no other anticipated impacts to archaeological resources from the project alternatives. For natural environment, significant woodlands are present within the Greensville rural settlement area, though they are not present within the study area. Bobolink and eastern meadowlark have been identified within the park. The Greensville drinking water system is supplied drinking water from one well, identified as FDG01. Information about the existing water supply is provided here. The system was constructed in 1975 and provides water to the 36 homes. All residences in the area are on individual septic systems. FDG01 is located near the intersection of Harvest Road and Forest Avenue between two existing residential properties. The lot has minimal buffer around the well house. Access to the well house is restricted to a narrow driveway with overhead electrical wires. The municipal drinking water license for FDG01 stipulates a daily rated capacity of 199 cubic meters per day and a permit to take water daily rated capacity of 197 cubic meters per day. During 2021 to 2022, the average daily flow was 33.2 cubic meters per day, and the maximum day demand was 93.4 cubic meters per day. The problem and opportunity statement for this study is as follows. The Greensville drinking water system is serviced by one groundwater source municipal communal well system, which is not equipped with backup water supply, and several components of the existing system are reaching end of life. FDG01 is operating safely and effectively, however, it does not meet the city's current outstation design manual. In 2022, the city completed a constructability and risk assessment study, which identified alternatives for backup water supply and identified the implementation of a new municipal communal well and treatment building with water storage could provide reliable water supply and quality to the Greensville drinking water system and meet the city's water outstation design manual criteria. The city is committed to providing safe and reliable drinking water to the Greensville rural settlement area residences and will evaluate alternative servicing scenarios with backup water supply for the Greensville drinking water system. The city's Source Water Protection Group has spent considerable effort identifying and validating alternative well supplies and water quality for the Greensville drinking water system. Several test wells have been explored in Johnson 2 Park as potential alternative well supplies for the Greensville drinking water system. The city completed a 72-hour pump test on test well 2-13 in 2023 to confirm the reliability of supply from this alternative well in the study area. Test well 2-13 has been found to be the most promising alternative supply. It's expected to meet the Greensville drinking water system demands and has an expected long-term water taking rate of 129.6 cubic meters per day. It doesn't have any water quality exceedances. However, test well 1-13 and test well 3-13 have not been identified as viable sources due to having inadequate water supply and water quality issues. Based on background reports, the following long list of potential alternative servicing solutions was developed to address the problem and opportunity statement and are described in the subsequent slides. So these include do nothing, alternative 1s through 6, which we will review on the subsequent slides. The do nothing alternative was included as part of the standard EA process for comparison purposes only. Alternative 1 on the left of this slide would involve expanding the lake-based distribution system with a new pump station, possibly located at the existing Woodley Lane pump station, in order to move the water up the escarpment, requiring a hydraulic study and a 2.2 kilometer connection to the existing FDG01 treatment building through an environmentally sensitive area of the escarpment. Alternative 2 on the right-hand side of this slide would involve the construction of a new buried reservoir facility in the study area for the drinking water system to be supplied by trucked water and decommissioning of FDG01 well. This alternative is not a common approach for drinking water systems in Ontario and may present operational cost and traffic issues. Alternative 3 involves a backup trucked water connection to improve the reliability of supply for Greensville. 3A would involve the refurbishment of the existing FDG01 site per the condition assessment needs previously identified. as well as the addition of a trucked water connection, likely at Cedar Avenue, as the space constraints on the access driveway to FDGO1 are significant. So it wouldn't be able to accommodate trucked water as well as maintenance practices. 3B would involve additional upgrades to FDGO1 to meet the city's water outstation design manual where feasible. The main issue with upgrading and maintaining FDGO1 is that this work would be expected to require an approximate 8-month construction period where the community would need to be supplied by trucked water for that entire duration, which does introduce additional nuisance, operational concerns, and costs. Alternative 4 involves maintaining and upgrading FDGO1 and adding an additional backup well supply to the drinking water system, resulting in a total of 2 well supplies for the community. This would result in 2 properties being maintained for the overall system. In Alternative 4A, the new wellhead and treatment building would be added in the park to the existing system, and then FDGO1 station would be refurbished. This alternative would result in 2 pump stations and treatment buildings maintained for Greensville drinking water system long-term. In Alternative 4B, the pumping and treatment equipment at the existing FDGO1 would be decommissioned, and a water main would be added along Forest Avenue up to the new pump station and treatment building in the park to connect FDGO1 to FDGO2. This alternative would require significant road construction through the community to construct the new water main, but it would result in 2 well supplies and 1 pump station and treatment building. Alternative 5 involves decommissioning the existing FDGO1 station and converting the primary supply for Greensville drinking water system to a new well and pump station building in the park to be known as FDGO2. The difference between Alternative 5A and 5B is the primary approach for backup water supply. 5A would involve constructing an underground reservoir with 1-day storage to improve the reliability of the system. 5B would involve backup water supply provided by a trucked water connection to the new well supply. It should be noted that during detailed design, option 5A could also have further system redundancy built in by adding a trucked water connection to that system as well. Alternative 6 involves decommissioning FDGO1 well and facility and constructing 2 new wellheads and 1 treatment building in the park with an underground storage reservoir. This alternative could also include a trucked water connection to the system for additional redundancy during detailed design. So the long list of alternative solutions were reviewed for construction feasibility and their ability to meet the updated study problem statement using the legend from the least preferred to the most preferred. Alternatives 1 through 3, 3A and 3B were not carried forward due to constructability and fitness issues with the problem statement. Alternatives that were preferred following this preliminary screening were carried forward for a review against the study evaluation criteria. These included Alternative 4A, with maintaining FDGO1 well and pump station and treatment building and adding a new well and pump station in the park. Alternative 5A involving decommissioning FDGO1 and constructing a new wellhead and pump station in the park with an underground reservoir. And Alternative 6 involving decommissioning FDGO1 and constructing 2 new wells and 1 pump station in the park with an underground reservoir. The shortlisted alternative solutions were evaluated using the factors and criteria listed here to identify the recommended servicing solution. Comments received from agencies, stakeholders, Indigenous communities, and members of the public will be integrated into this evaluation as required. The short list of alternative servicing solutions was reviewed against the evaluation criteria, and the recommended alternative servicing solution was identified to be Alternative 5A, with 1 new wellhead a treatment building, and a reservoir in the park, a buried reservoir, and decommissioning the existing FDGO1 well and pump station and treatment building. Alternative 5A was found to be the most preferred with respect to natural environment features, technical engineering considerations, and financial aspects, including capital and long-term maintenance and operational costs. In addition to alternative servicing solutions, alternative locations for a new treatment building were also reviewed for this study. The figure shows the approximate locations considered for the alternative pump house. These include alternative location 1 to the south of the park path entrance at the end of Cedar Avenue. This lot is identified and secured by the city, and it is proximal to the alternative well supply test well 2-13. The second alternative location is to the north of the park path entrance at the end of Cedar Avenue. This location would require consultation with parks, and it is further away from the well supply, test well 2-13. It should be noted that other locations within the park were not evaluated as part of this study due to access constraints and proximity to natural resources or trees. The new pump station will require a total excavation area of approximately 1,400 meters squared, a facility building and parking area of approximately 900 meters squared, or 30 meters by 30 meters, and a well house structure of approximately 70 meters squared, or 10 meters by 7 meters, and a buried reservoir for which sizing is to be further defined during the next design concept stages of this project. The two alternative station locations in the park were evaluated also against the evaluation criteria. At the time of this evaluation, the most preferred location for the pump station in the park is to the north of the park path entrance at the end of Cedar Avenue. This would require a longer water main from test well 2-13 wellhead to the new pump station in the park. There is an existing tree line along the north edge of the park that would be expected to provide an appealing aesthetic to conceal the new pump station in the park. Otherwise, the two sites have similar considerations in terms of technical access, maintenance considerations, and long-term operations and maintenance costs. During the next phases of the project, the city will be gathering comments on these identified preferred recommendations and reviewing in detail the feasibility and particularly with parks on the specific and preferred location of the pump station. Following this PIC, the project team will complete the next steps identified below. Review and respond to comments received, continue to engage Indigenous communities and consult with the public and agencies, confirm the preferred water servicing strategy and location, confirm the preferred water servicing strategy design, and complete technical studies. The results of these next steps will be used to identify the preferred water servicing strategy, which will be presented at Public Information Center number 2, which is tentatively scheduled for winter 2024. So I'd like to thank you for your participation in this Public Information Center for the City of Hamilton, Municipal Class EA for the Greensville Drinking Water Supply Study. Your feedback is valuable and appreciated. Again, at this time, questions can be submitted anonymously using the chat box, or you can raise your hand and provide questions or comments when called upon and by unmuting. We would appreciate respectful comments. Disrespectful comments and inappropriate language will not be tolerated. Additionally, you can provide comments by filling out the online survey or by contacting a member of the project team on this slide by November 10th. So thank you again, and we are happy to take your questions.